from Baltimore City Schools.
I think parents would like to hear directly from you, the parents that go to these schools.
All the way up to the Maryland State Department of Education.
Mr. Choudhury, can we ask you a couple questions about your department removing test scores from the website?
Two leaders under fire in the wake of Project Baltimore investigations, raising serious concerns over transparency and poor judgment.
There cannot continue to be scandal after scandal after scandal.
The State Superintendent of Schools denies using an encrypted messaging app to communicate with high-level employees.
You've never used Signal for your job?
No. Thank you.
Hey, Coach, do you think you should say something, though, to your players?
A city schools police officer and star football coach facing federal charges.
You want to say something to your players, Coach?
Accused of racking up more than $200,000 in fraudulent overtime. And the district didn't catch it?
The answer is the answer. We know that they put things in place.
Project Baltimore exposed the problems. Will elected leaders finally take action?
The results we're seeing right now are not satisfactory results. I demand better.
The state school superintendent and the Baltimore City Schools CEO, two of the highest-ranking public officials in Maryland.
And both are under scrutiny following scandals exposed by Project Baltimore. Today, several Maryland lawmakers took a strong stance calling on the state school superintendent to resign immediately.
This I pondered for months, taking this stand, but we need, because of our children.
I think the toxicity of his leadership and the fact that so many people are leaving the education system is a good indicator that he's not the right person for the job.
Three lawmakers, all Republicans from Baltimore County, say Mohammed Choudhury should step down. In calling for his resignation, the lawmakers cited a series of Project Baltimore investigations. But as Chris Papps explains, Choudhury isn't the only school leader under fire.
Mohammed Choudhury earns $310,000 as the Maryland State Superintendent of Schools, and he's currently fighting for his job. Dr. Sonja Santelises last year earned $445,000 in total compensation as the CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools. Both are stewards of the public trust. Both make decisions that impact thousands of public school students in Maryland, and both are under fire after recent Project Baltimore findings.
Mr. Superintendent, have you ever used the Signal application in commission of your job?
I have no comment. Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
For my job?
Well,
most recently, State Superintendent Mohammed Choudhury denied using an encrypted messaging app for his job, but Project Baltimore obtained screenshots showing he used the Signal app to communicate with high-level employees at the Maryland State Department of Education. Some of those messages, like the one where he appeared to berate an employee, support allegations that Choudhury created a toxic workplace culture.
Transformational leaders actually lead people and don't disparage them.
The state school board is set to vote by the end of this month,
As well as
on whether to offer Choudhury another contract. That vote has already been delayed twice amid serious transparency concerns exposed by Project Baltimore.
He needs to go. There is no way he can repair that trust without coming clean, and he's shown no evidence that he has any interest in doing so.
So far this year, we've exposed how the Maryland State Department of Education began further redacting state test scores, a move that kept parents from seeing just how poorly many of their schools were performing. We've reported that Superintendent Choudhury used a secondary email account to conduct business, and that his state-issued cell phone was set to auto-delete text messages after 30 days.
I believe in accountability and I believe in transparency.
Many lawmakers in Annapolis have yet to respond to Project Baltimore's questions about Choudhury and whether they're concerned about his leadership. But Governor Wes Moore has commented.
Part of the challenge is that, that we have with the structure is that the governor doesn't decide that.
Moore, who appointed 5 members of the state school board, says he has no control over the superintendent's contract, but he does have a strong opinion on his performance.
I want transparency, I want accountability, and I want a superintendent that believes in it and can deliver it. The results we're seeing right now are not satisfactory results. I demand better, and we need to make sure that we're getting better results for our kids.
And I will just continue to say,
Dr. Sonja Santelises is also under scrutiny for scandals in her administration.
Coach, what do you say about the charges?
On Friday, Baltimore City Schools police detective and 8-time state champion football coach Lawrence Smith was indicted on federal charges of overtime fraud and tax violations. The indictment alleges what Project Baltimore first reported back in January, that Smith was logging overtime when he appeared to be somewhere else. We found several possible examples, including Facebook Live videos that showed Smith driving a boat on the Chesapeake Bay or coaching football when his overtime form said he was working.
Hey, Coach, do you think you should say something though to your players?
Smith is accused of fraudulently obtaining more than $215,000 in overtime, and the district didn't catch it?
Chris Pabst from Fox 45.
We know the district was aware of our reporting back in January because we tried to get answers about the overtime approval process.
Do you guys have concerns about how the overtime is issued in police department?
So, I mean, again, just check our statement that we gave you.
But your statement leaves out a lot of really important things. Like, for example, how can a police officer who's driving a boat be putting in a form for overtime?
We can come this way.
Can the school system explain that? You know, these are taxpayer dollars. And the school system constantly says it doesn't have enough money, but there does appear to be money paid.
Go to the statement we gave you, because that's why we answered those questions in the statement.
But the district will not explain why 4 months after we exposed his overtime discrepancies, Smith was promoted to corporal. Dr. Santelises has repeatedly refused to answer our questions about this and a number of other issues.
A former city schools principal told us that your administration is instructing schools to not leave report cards blank.
Make sure that I present to City Council.
Allegation. The allegation is that you're falsifying report cards.
If you continue to submit questions, we'll answer those.
You'll answer that question?
Absolutely, Chris. Make sure you submit it. So good to see you.
Baltimore City is facing a devastating reality.
From schools where 0 students tested proficient in math, to grade changing and inflated enrollment schemes, the issues Project Baltimore has exposed
Enough is enough.
have prompted protests from community members calling on Santelises to resign.
No education, no peace. Resign, Dr. Santelises.
Tell you, this is what the fight is for.
The state of Baltimore City Schools even caught the attention of civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who joined the legal team suing Baltimore City Schools, accusing the school system of wasting tax dollars and failing to provide an adequate education to generations of students.
I think parents would like to hear directly from you, the parents that go to these schools.
This is a different system than it was 3 years ago.
But the last time Dr. Santelises agreed to sit down for an interview was 2017, shortly before Fox 45 had to sue the school system for refusing to release public records related to grade changing. A Baltimore judge ruled in our favor, saying the school system willfully and knowingly violated the law.
Good morning, everyone.
And through all of this, Mayor Brandon Scott has supported Dr. Santelises. In 2022, just weeks after an Inspector General report confirmed widespread grade changing in city schools,
thank you for joining us.
Many city politicians gathered to celebrate the superintendent for 6 years on the job, the whole time ignoring the IG's report, which found more than 12,000 failing grades were improperly changed to passing between 2016 and 2020. When we ask many elected leaders questions about the public school system, they often say no comment because they say they don't have control over the day-to-day operations, which is true. But the mayor of Baltimore appoints 9 of the 12 school board members in the city, and the governor appoints all 14 members to the state board. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
That brings us to our question of the day. Should Governor Moore call for State Superintendent Mohammed Choudhury to resign? 100% of voters say yes. You can head to foxbaltimore.com/vote and click on the Pulse tab to weigh in.
I'm Chris Pabst. Thanks for watching. Here's another story to watch. Also, if you have a story idea, please send us a message.